Ginger Star. Welcome to another episode of Positive Power.
That one's going to go on for several seasons.
I'm a big fan of anime myself. As a matter of fact, I kind of grew up with the 90s anime.
Oh, acceptance. We haven't even talked about acceptance.
Welcome back, Positive Power fans. Today I have got another OG in the house, and guess what? He has been on the show before. His name is John Consalvo, and let me tell you guys, this guy is a phenomenal musician. He loves to sing, and he has got albums coming out left and right. The title of this one is The Voyage on Soulmate Seas. Guys, he's got a new hit coming out. We already know it's gonna be #1 off the charts. John, welcome back to the show. How are you doing since the last time we spoke to you?
I'm doing quite well. I don't know if I can top that intro. I can, but things are going very well. I think it was about a little bit more than a month ago that we had a chance to talk, promoting Because It's Christmas, which was a song we released then. And that's done very, very well. And so, there's no reason to not continue what's working, right? So, glad to be back here. Loved being on here before.
That is so awesome. And I heard that it got millions and millions of views. Can you give us an official number of how many people have actually tuned into that song?
I don't have an official number. But based on what the song stats have, between streams and views, it's somewhere north of 6 million overall. And even though Christmas is long past, every day I'm getting, you're still getting a couple of hundred listens every day, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But yes, between just social media streaming and views and all that, 6 million plus, it just in a little bit over a month. So really happy with that. And, when next Christmas comes, we'll be promoting it again. But for now, as you mentioned, we got another album coming out, and we're 13 tracks. We're pretty excited to get it out there.
What is the name of the song that we're promoting today?
So the name of the song is called Alone. And Alone is the first single off our new album. We just released Alone as a way to promote the album. And really, really solid, I would say, acoustic rock song that I think many would be able to identify with. Let's say 12 songs, one will be an instrumental, one's more of a poem, but 13 tracks overall. But we decided to release Alone as the first single because it captures something universal. It's I think everyone has embarked against that feeling of loneliness, even when surrounded by others, right? The key line in the song is, I feel so alone when I'm with you, right? And I think so many people can identify with that, right? And the album itself, it's called Voyage on Soulmate Seas. It's really about a guy just on a journey. He's a captain of a ship, but he's on a journey to find his soulmate, right? And there's a lot of tumultuous things to navigate to get there. And and so the idea here in this character in this part of the album is just in a relationship where he's really with somebody that he can't connect with, and he just feels alone when he's with them all the time. Not saying they're bad or that he's bad. It's just he's in a situation where he's just alone, and he's realizing he has to walk away. And so when we sonically put this song together, it's acoustic, electric, big drums, a couple of big hooks. It was like, this is the perfect first song to kick off the album, and so it's the album is meant to be listened to cover to cover, but most of the songs are strong enough standalone. This is the fourth song on the album and fourth track on the album, and so we're pretty excited about it.
Oh, I love that.
The artwork on the album, it shows like you would imagine, right? It shows a ship on a sea in front of a lighthouse, all of it, in a storm or whatever. But that ship is in a bottle, and that bottle is on a sea, right? And so everyone is dealing with this same journey. Everyone's dealing with something along those lines. But the album itself, when we put it together, I wanted to create something that people could identify with in one way or another. And we've all experienced ups and downs in relationships, love, heartbreak, self-discovery, what have you. And it's all part of a much bigger journey. So I was like, it'd be great to just do an album where most folks can really, identify with, right? And when you think about things like whether you believe in soulmates or not, right? Everyone's looking for that person that might, complete them or whatever, right? In the beginning of the album, right, we have a situation where there's a mentor type character, and he says, "You're ready to take on your own ship. You're going to be captain of the sea, but don't do it alone, right?" And and this, to go out there and find your soulmate, easy peasy, you know, but this guy's, finding it very difficult, like anyone else would, right? So basically, what I want to say is, I think similar to what we talked about in Because It's Christmas, is you know, this is you're not alone, right? Like, if, no matter where you are in your journey to find that person, whether it's heartbreak, whether it's loneliness, whether it's you're disgruntled, uh, many people, everybody, to a degree, has been where you are at some point, and many people are going through that same thing right now, right? Um, ultimately, wanted to put something together to where it's an album where folks could listen to and realize that, you know they're not alone. Don't give up. There is a benefit to focusing on improving yourself, building your life, preparing for the right person. And although they might complete you when you find them, they can't fix you, right? That's something that you have. That's a journey in itself, and ultimately a reminder that we're souls with a body, more so than a body with a soul, right? And who we become matters more than the circumstances we're born into. Be good to others and see what happens. And so that's really that's the journey of the album. Every song can stand on its own, right? So each song somebody can identify with, oh, I've been there, or I'm going through that, or that makes sense, or I'm into that hook or whatever. But if you listen to it cover to cover, it tells one complete story. And I'd love folks to check it out. So that to answer your question, that's ultimately why I'm here.
And you said this was your 4th album, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Wow, 4 albums. Oh my goodness. I can't even get one.
Well, you got to start with one,
Yeah.
before you get to 4.
That's true. That's true. Awesome. And Positive Power fans, just sit tight. We're going to talk about our sponsors and then we'll be right back. Welcome back, Positive Power fans. So as you guys heard, we're talking about this new album and this new song that's going on. John and I have been trying to, get the details. We're talking about this story about being alone and like we're going on a voyage on Soulmate Seas. For those of you guys who are just tuning in, you can always watch the beginning of the interview if you want, the full details, when the live stream has ended. So you guys can do that, but I just want to welcome everybody back. Thank you for listening to our ads and our sponsorships, and thank you sponsors for sponsoring us. So we definitely appreciate that. All right, so John, we are back here, and we're talking about this journey that this man is talking about. So my next question is, like, what was your inspiration to write the song from the start?
Well, I think to write the song, it'll sound cliche. Every song's got its own journey, right, and its own reason. Usually, when I write, it's not uncommon for me to write and do a song in 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes me 2 years, depending on the song. But in this particular song, I really, that there's that intro, and you'll hear the intro, the acoustic melody. I had just been playing around with that for a little while, and I had, I had talked with some folks, and I'd been in a situation, and we're going back many years. I would say I actually wrote that intro melody was, in the early, like I would call it the early 2000s, and I was like, I really liked it, and I didn't really do anything with it. And when I had written that melody and wrote that line, I feel so low when I'm with you. I was in a much different place than I am now, and I remember thinking like, I need to do something with this. Like somebody, there's so many people that can identify with what I'm feeling and what I think somebody would be feeling. And so that's what got me to writing it, is literally going through a situation where, person sitting next to me was that, like, and like I said, very different situation than I've been in now. But you're first finding yourself, you're fresh out of school or whatever, and you're you think you have everything figured out, but you have nothing figured out, right? And I addressed that in the album as well. But that ultimately, that's what it came from, is I was in a situation where I was like, what, even though I'm surrounded by people and a person here or whatever, like I feel like so isolated. Like I feel like I'm just completely alone. And I was like, what, that line is going to work for somebody. And I never did anything with it. And then when we were doing this album, I was like, this would be the perfect album to bring this back and make it a cornerstone. And it sounds like we have a 6-string in there, a 12-string in there, some big electrics, snare drums. But that's ultimately where it came from. It just came from being in some situations, many years ago, that I had wrote that one line, and then we ultimately just put the song around it.
And I think that it's so important for people to write down, how they're feeling, and the fact that really you have got a talent and like a natural gift, I think, where you can not only, take a situation that you personally are experiencing, and like you can actually write it down, you can break it up into lyrics, and then, build a story. And not only are you building a story, you're creating music out of it. Not everyone can do that. So I definitely have to applaud you on that. And that's, I think back to what we were talking about, in our first interview. Positive Power fans, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. If you haven't seen it. But, we were just talking about how you had this natural gift to just write things down and turn it into an experience. And you also realize that, other people, are experiencing the same thing. I myself have experienced that. So when you're talking about alone in this journey, are you trying to say, maybe sometimes it's more important to listen to your heart and like what your heart is telling you? Or are you saying, hey, maybe you're not really alone, and the people who know you best, are telling you, you want positive things in your life? I mean, so many people go through experiences where they get into like a really bad relationship with someone, and like they're attached to that person, but they don't know how to get out of that, and they can feel alone. So what is the message that you're trying to convey with this song here?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the ones you just mentioned. So, and in this particular instance, um, our character, I wouldn't say is in a bad relationship, but he's in a relationship that he knows he doesn't want to be in. And not, like, if I'm in a place and I've made it this, like, I don't drink socially or any of those things, right? It's not what I do. But when you go out, right, and everyone's like, oh, you have a drink, or this or that, um, you feel isolated pretty quickly, right? You feel like, okay, everyone's drinking. Do I drink? Do I not drink? You feel alone right at that moment, right? So although that's not necessarily what this song is about, I think just the idea of feeling alone when you're around people or around a person, um, anyone should be able to identify with.
I can totally personally relate to that. Like, I remember my first love, like my first real love. I would say probably back in 2007, and we were together for about 4 or 5 months. I thought everything was perfect, and then just out of the blue, didn't see it coming, completely blindsided. Like, he dumped me. And like, I remember, it was my birthday, and all my friends decided to come out because we had like a big pool like in the backyard. And I can kind of relate to that moment personally, where I just felt alone because this person that was in my life was just suddenly gone. And the sad thing is, I guess there was someone there that I think back to what we were talking about, in our first interview. Positive Power fans, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. If you haven't seen it. But we were just talking about how you have this natural gift to just write things down and turn it into an experience. And you also realize that, other people, are experiencing the same thing. I myself have experienced that. So when you're talking about alone in this journey, are you trying to say, maybe sometimes it's more important to listen to your heart and like what your heart is telling you? Or are you saying, hey, maybe you're not really alone, and the people who know you best, are telling you, you want positive things in your life? I mean, so many people go through experiences where they get into like a really bad relationship with someone, and like they're attached to that person, but they don't know how to get out of that, and they can feel alone. So what is the message that you're trying to convey with this song here?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the ones you just mentioned. So, and in this particular instance, um, our character, I wouldn't say is in a bad relationship, but he's in a relationship that he knows he doesn't want to be in, or whatever. If you know, and I don't want to say necessarily in your heart, right? Because when people say follow your heart, your heart has no eyes. So you follow your heart, you might bump into a wall or something. But I do think if they know in their subconscious and that there's something that's just screaming at them, like, hey, you gotta get out of this. This song's for them. But I also think, you know, as I mentioned earlier, like there is a part in here that, hey, maybe you feel alone in this relationship, and it really has nothing to do with the other person. It's all to do with the fact that you don't know who you are. You don't even know what makes you happy. You don't even know what makes you feel complete or not alone. Um, and you got to figure that out. And you can't drag somebody else down while you're doing it. And so I think, and our character is kind of going through a combination of those two things, right? Um, in the story, but in the song, I certainly think it's more to do with things like that I just mentioned, which I believe everyone can identify with. I also think that I recall being in big social gatherings where there's hundreds of people in the room, and I feel like I'm the only one there.
I guess he felt he could, be more compatible with, and that kind of, just he just kind of strung me along. And to anybody here who's listening to that, take this message, definitely take this message, maybe not like solely to heart, but definitely keep it in there somewhere, because there's so many people, you go on dates, even just friendships, things like that, and there may be something wrong, and you don't even know it. So it's never good to ever string anyone along, as I personally have experienced that, which made me think of your song, Alone. Like, if you would have wrote this song back in 2007, well, you probably, I don't know how long you actually wrote it before it,
I
before.
think I might have written it was either 2006 or 2007. But it was one of those years where, I started laying down the initial guitar work for this thing.
I think that if it would have been completed, like that would have been an album and a song that I personally at that time in my life like could have related to, and that probably would have helped me. So I think that this is going to be like a good song for people that are maybe in that space. If you listen to it, maybe you'll get some type of value out of it. I think it's going to be a good song for people that, unfortunately, you think you're with the right person because everybody says, oh, this is the right person. But at the end of the day, you know what is for you. Sometimes, you may have friends, family members saying, be with this person. They're going to, be like the best thing ever. But there may be someone out there who you already felt connected with, and you're just not going to be happy until you're with that person. So for those people, stringing someone along is never a good idea. So if you've ever, I'm sure to some degree we've all been guilty of it. But seriously though, like if there's someone on your heart and your mind, the best thing you can do is just be honest with yourself and be honest with people, because this is a very hard hitting song here. Like not just the song, but as he said, it's a story, going from here to the end. When you think about other love songs where they talk about if you can really love the wrong person that much, just imagine how it would feel when the right person comes along.
I think a lot of what you're saying is spot on, and the idea is like alone in itself, right? As we talked about, it is a certain circumstance, but with folks going through it, right? When you listen to the whole album, like the idea is to give hope, right? It's a message of hope, right? As I think as we mentioned before, right? Even though the song is called Alone, when you listen to this whole album, there's going to be a lot of folks to be like, oh, I went through that exact same thing. I think for Alone, I'll give you an example. I've had at least already, I've had at least 10 or so curators and DJs reach out and say, I'm gonna play this because I'm going through that right now, or I've been through that, right? And so even though the song is Alone, you're not alone, right? That's the whole idea, right? Many have been where you are, many are going through it right now. And then for folks, as you mentioned, that are really going through it right now for whatever reason, not shifting blame or whatever, just going through it. They're lonely. They just got out of a rough situation. They're in a rough situation. They want to get out. Don't give up, right? Don't give up on you. I would tell people, if you really want to be in a relationship, and Voyage and Soulmate Seas really talks about this too. If you want to be in a relationship, look at yourself. See if am I someone that I'd want to be in a relationship with? And if not, what are the things you want to do on focusing on improving yourself, building your life, preparing for that right person, and understanding that, hey, when they come in, forget what people post on Facebook or Instagram. Half of it is lies anyway, right? This person can't fix you. They may complete you, but they can't fix you, right? And that's ultimately, as we mentioned that before, it's really a journey of hope, right? All the things that we're going to write about is a journey of hope, right? But it's going to be a real journey that has pain, like Alone, that has uncertainty, like some of the other songs. And I think there's going to be times where you're listening to a song on this album, right? Where you might say, wow, I hope someone thinks of me that way, or I hope somebody misses me that way, or I hope somebody loves me that way, which is really cool. And then there's going to be other things that you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I went through that. And I think that that's where people are going to be when they listen to this album, which I'm really excited about. And I would love, if anyone's listening to it, similar to Because Christmas, reach out to me. If you like it, great. If you hate it, great. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, guys, and definitely reach out to him. Do not hesitate to, especially, if you're listening to the podcast today, John is a very open person. We've talked, on and off quite a bit. Sometimes it's hard to catch him because he's, flying here and, recording albums and, being a star. He doesn't consider himself one, but we at Positive Power do. Sorry about that, John. We had to brag on you just a little bit. But yeah, don't hesitate to reach out to him, guys. He's a very open person. And just like we did last time, we're definitely going to put all of his contact information down below. All of his social media. Can you remind fans again? I know we talked about it in the last video, but can you remind fans again, like if they do want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
I'd say the easiest place is you could John underscore Consalvo. That'll be me on Instagram. So you can drop me a message there. You can certainly hit my channel on YouTube. I'd say that or John Consalvo Music is on Facebook as well. So the easiest way is probably Instagram or YouTube.
You guys heard it here first. And guys, if you reach out to him and if you're listening to the podcast today, we would really appreciate it if you let him know that Positive Power sent him your way. So we definitely appreciate that. We're always trying to be interactive with our fans and getting them to participate and talk to the people that we interview. Unfortunately, not every person has that, but we do try. We try to get him to talk to everybody. So, but yeah, John's very open. Like he said, he's very communicative, very easygoing guy. And we love that on Positive Power. We love that. And again, I hope you don't feel like I'm hyping you up too much, but it is Positive Power, so we gotta. We gotta hype it up, right? We gotta send it out there into the world. So we love having you on here. So we hope that there's more to come. And guys, we're going to be promoting all this stuff, on the social media links. So go check him out. We're going to, he said he didn't want to put a number on it. He doesn't want to count his chickens before rehatch, but we're hoping to get more. We're hoping, fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed. All right. Well, thank you again, John. And as always, guys,
stay positive.